Here we go. David Sussman, who's giving a tour of Israel. Here we go. 1 second. 1 second, David. I think you're still muted. Just want to think. Let me just make sure that. Dave, I hear you. Do you hear me?
All right, I hear you. Great. I just want to do my to share my screen.
Okay, let me
and
do that
for you.
It's
disabled.
1 second. 1 second. Okay, now you're able to.
Okay, I don't see where it says more.
Now you have to share the screen first, and then you do the more.
Okay, so you can see my screen now?
Correct.
Okay, so now where do I see the more? I can't hear you.
It's not going to be on your settings.
Should we just go for it?
Go for it. Let's see if it works. Go for it.
Okay, great. All right, first, before we even get started, let me just get out of here real quick. How do I do that now? Hold on 1 second, folks. Sorry for my being technically challenged here. All right. Fine. Here we go. Hold on 1 second here.
You're good to go, Dave.
All right, we got that one line. Any chance of getting rid of that?
Just go for it. I'm not sure. I don't know.
All right, fine. All right, folks. Anyways, welcome. David Sussman here. I just want to thank Just One Chesed for making this all possible and putting this on. 1,000 people, unbelievable. 1,000 people from around the world tuning in, trying to capture just a little bit of Israel from, you know, the couches of their homes. I can see so many of you on the screen over there, and it's great to see you. So big ups to the whole staff over there, to Jerry, to Joe, to everybody who are working tirelessly behind the scenes, making this possible, to the municipality of Jerusalem who are partnering up as well. This is fantastic. A little background on me. Who am I? David Sussman. I'm a tour guide here in Israel. I wasn't born here. I'm not a Sabra. I made Aliyah here. I came here in 2001 from the city of Boston. And part of me just wants to say the great city of Boston, the awesome city of Boston. And you know what? It is awesome. There could be awesome cities outside of Israel as well. But I am very happy to be here. But when I think about Boston, I think of myself, you know, how long have I been in how American am I? I'm a first generation American on my mom's side. I'm second generation American on my dad's side. How many of you out there, how many generations have you been living in America? How American are you? But you know what? I'm like, I walk the streets of Israel after 20 years living here. People know that I'm American. I'm American. It is what it is, but I'm here for the last 20 years. Thank God. Not always as a tour guide. Been working as a tour guide for about the last 12 years or so. I first worked the beaches of Tel Aviv, and then was in the Army for a while. In fact, there's a page. Please, everybody, go to my Facebook page. David Sussman Israel tours on how I went from being a fish head living in my van to being an IDF soldier here in Israel. And I also hosted a television show called Land of the Bible. So if anybody wants to get more videos about Israel, you can go again to my Facebook or to my Patreon site, somehow contact me. I'll send you all the links. They're all private, but I'll send you all the links. It's totally free, my Patreon site at this time, where you can get these great half-hour episodes around Israel. And I know many of you out there had tours planned for this time. Just through my company, David Sussman Israel Tours, we had several trips that obviously canceled. So I just want to give a shout out to them because they're here. The Hudson family of LA, Kirpavass family of New Jersey, the Fisher family also of LA, Gail Siegel, the Siegel family. There was 20 of you guys that were going to be coming here from Chicago, the Philippines, from Florida, and the Pupkins as well. So big shout out to all of you. I'm glad that we're able to do this as a virtual tour. So let's get started here. And here you can see a map of a globe. The globe. You can see the entire world over here. You can see just little Israel over there. And we're going to zoom in and you can see how Israel, right? Take America out because America wasn't there for a long time. Israel, right? And Europe and Africa and Asia. This was all of the known world at that time. And you can see right here that Israel is right in the center of it all. Somebody keeps on doing, I'm not too sure how to get rid of that. Right in the middle of it all. And that was not lost, 500 years ago when people started to make maps. And here's a very famous map from the 15th century where you can see Jerusalem right in the center over there. And you can see Europe over to the left. You have Asia and you have Africa down below. And Jerusalem, Israel, right in the center of it all. Is right in the center of it all. And this caused or was a benefit to Israel in many ways because it became a major trade route. So what we're going to do here right now, and here you can see another video. Hold on one second here. Yeah, that line, I know. I don't know what to do about it, Ishai. So what you can see here, but the line kind of works. Of Canaan, the land of Israel, just by the sea, you can see Jerusalem and that whole green part that exists over there, that is the Fertile Crescent. That's the beginning of civilization, right? People who were living on the Nile River in Egypt and then through the lands of Israel and up into Mesopotamia, and the great biblical empires that existed there as well. Now, what we're going to do is of using this, and it really is wonderful. And just look how green it is. Israel in 4K. I mean, this is high def. This is wonderful. If you guys can watch this, look it up on YouTube after we're done here and you can just see it. Israel right now is this green. Israel is extremely green right now. It's been raining a tremendous amount. The Golan Heights, the Galilee, so much of it is all really beautiful right now. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to cruise through the land. And beginning where I like to begin on most of my tours here to the land of Israel, you come on a 12-day tour with me, I like to begin right here. I like to begin in Tel Aviv because Tel Aviv is like any other great city around the world. I mean, it's got great nightlife, awesome restaurants and cafes, and there's so much to do and there's so much action. I mean, not like every beach, it's also got every city, it's got awesome beaches. And so I like to bring people here because it's not like such the drastic change of like, I'm saying going from your city, wherever you live, to Jerusalem, to the fire of it all, to the epicenter of spirituality. For many people, it's like too much to handle. So take a soft landing. Come first to Tel Aviv, hang out here for a couple days, maybe spend the weekend over here, spend Shabbat here in Israel, and then from there, we would head up towards the north. But Tel Aviv, look at it all. Look at that skyline. Look. I just want you to imagine for a moment that everything you see there was that. I just paused. Nothing but a pile of sand when in 1906, the founding members of Tel Aviv is the founding members of Tel Aviv. These families came together on a bunch of sand dunes in the heart of Tel Aviv. and picked seashells out of that to determine who would get one lot. And out of that sand, they built Tel Aviv. And Tel Aviv, the name of it was really a homage, it was an honor given to Theodor Herzl, who was the godfather of modern political Zionism. I have to say modern Zionism. A lot of people call them the early Zionists. They're not the early Zionists. Zionism's been around since the days of Abraham, since Abraham, our forefather, who, you know, had to go down into Egypt and long to return to Zion, long to return one day to be able to settle in the land that is ours, into the land of Israel. So Zionism existed for 3,800 years. It's not something that's modern. This modern political Zionism was started in the late 19th century with Theodor Herzl, who wrote an incredible book, a pamphlet that inspired thousands of people called Alt Neuland, right? It was the old land, this new Jew, a Jew who no longer gets pushed around from place to place, but that can build his own country, that can do for himself, who can, you know, achieve and protect and to fight for himself and to defend himself. Which, by the way, I just have to say this, because a lot of people oftentimes, and especially this group of these modern Zionists, but also you can hear it in the way Jews had that were living in Europe in the 17th, in the 16th, defied everything. They were treated as second-class citizens. Says, no, it's important. We have truth on our side. We have a message to give to the world. My gosh, those people are giants. Those people are really unbelievable. But so are the soldiers today, and so are those modern Zionists who came to the land of Israel and were able to build up Tel Aviv and to make something out of nothing, right? This was nothing but sand for such a long time. This was nothing but sand dudes, and we're able to build this up. You know, I always joke around when I have groups there, and I say Israel or Tel Aviv is the original FUBU, right? What was FUBU, right? FUBU was a clothing line that came out that was called For Us, By Us, right? Tel Aviv is for us, by us. Other city in the world, almost everybody who lives there is Jewish. Almost everybody who lives there is Jewish. Okay, of course, you got foreign business people who live there. There are diplomats. A lot of the embassies are located in Tel Aviv. You have Arabs who assimilated into Israeli society and have learned Hebrew and have risen up the economic ladder and are living in Tel Aviv as well. But most of the people here are living here, and this is the first Jewish city to be built by Jews for Jews. By Jews for Jews, because there was cities that were built by Jews in Europe during the Roman Empire, right? The Romans took Jews as slaves, and we built cities around Europe
Hi, everyone. It seems like his internet is down. Seems like Dave is down. If you guys wait for a couple of minutes, I think his internet is down. Again, I'd like to thank David Sussman for trying. He's doing a fantastic job. Let's wait another minute. Hopefully he could come back on. Everyone, please wait. I'd like to thank the area of Jerusalem for partnering up with us for this great event. Thank you, Chef Leisha, for doing a fantastic tour. We will be having our tours live on our website, hopefully by tomorrow. If you missed the first tour, and if you missed yesterday's tours, you can check it out online at justoneChesed.org. justoneChesed.org/Project Uplift. If you want to be a coordinator for Just One Chesed, email us at info@justoneChesed.org, info@justoneChesed.org. David, are you back with us? Oh, David's back with us. Let's see. He's back with us. Let me unmute you. You're back.
All right, I'm back. Now make me the host, and I'm going to try and do this quick.
Okay, you're the host now.
Oh, and they're disabled already, so it should be fine. But why does this?
Dave?
Why does that keep on popping up? Yeah. Okay. You see what keeps on popping up? Can you see that?
No.
Oh, okay, fine. That's good. All right, guys. I'm so sorry for that. The internet, with everybody trying to be on the internet, is a little bit tough right now. But hopefully it's going to be good. So you guys don't see that right there? The Shabbat Kona is requesting remote control of your screen.
No, you're great. You're doing great.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Okay, great. So let me just enlarge this right here. So as I was saying is that they wanted to pay homage. They wanted to give honor to Theodor Herzl. And so they named Tel Aviv Tel because that's something that's old. That's something that's old. And Aviv is the season of spring, right? And spring is something that's new. So it's Alt Nuland, right? And that's why they named it Tel Aviv. They were able to sneak it past the Turks who were ruling this area, and they were able to give it a Zionist name. They were able to call it Tel Aviv, even though that it was a Zionist name, because they were able to sneak that in there. Tel being old and Aviv being something new. But it really all starts right there. What you're looking at right there, that's the city of Jaffa. We're not going to go into the city of Jaffa. If you want more on that, like I said before, please visit my website. There's a video, a half-hour episode on Jaffa, but it is beautiful. That's really the original gateway into the land of Israel. This is where people, the modern Zionists even had to come in through Jaffa. Jaffa is one of the oldest cities in the world. It's almost 5,000 years old. There were Canaanites who were here, and the Egyptians were here. Obviously, the first temple period, this is where the timber came in to build the temple in Jerusalem. And how can we leave out the fact that it was in Tel Aviv that David Ben-Gurion, our first prime minister, declared our independence, that we had returned to the land of Israel and plan on staying here, thank God, for eternity, right? Until Mashiach and beyond. So there you have it one more time. We're moving right along north from Tel Aviv, heading towards Caesarea, heading towards Caesarea. Beautiful archaeological excavations. The ones you can see right down at the bottom of the screen, those are from the Crusader period. They're roughly about 1,000 years old. But Caesarea, or what it really should be known, I don't know why they call it Caesarea in Hebrew, it's known as Caesarea. And the reason why is that it's of Rome. And it was King Herod who built Caesarea. And the reason why he wanted to build it was to give respect to the Romans who made him king, right? Because King Herod had no right being the king of Israel. His lineage is really an unusual one, but for sure he's not from the tribe of Judah. For sure he's not a Hashemite. He's not a descendant of the Maccabees in the story of Hanukkah. So he has no right to be king. He has no right to sit on the throne. It's Rome that makes him king of Judea. And we'll talk a little bit why that was a little bit later. Here's a little a picture of King Herod. And so he builds not just Caesarea, but he builds Masada. You can see Masada right there, right? The fortress in the middle of the desert. He builds the temple that we think of, the second temple, right? The second temple. This is actually the third rendition of the second temple, but he builds the second temple as well, the one that we think of, and the western wall that we go to. And he builds a lot more as well. But here in Caesarea, he builds a port, right? This is built to bring in ships during the winter time. Again, right? Israel's part of a trade route. So ships that were sailing along the coast from Egypt and taking goods from Africa and the rest of the Middle East and bringing it to the north and to Europe during the winter, they would need to dock somewhere. Usually they wanted to get to Athens. They wanted to arrive to Athens. They would dock there. But Herod builds this beautiful Roman city. This is a racetrack that you can see over to the right-hand side where horses would race. And there was a theater and a bathhouse and everything that you would a Roman city. So this was something that was really that people around the world wanted to come to Caesarea and they wanted to spend their money, right? You can see just a little bit over there to the right, just a little bit of the port that still remains because most of it was destroyed by earthquakes. But you could fit 100 Roman ships in the port during that time. And so here we are just zooming out. We're going to continue moving north. Here you have a tell, right? Again, ancient tell, ancient civilization. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But this place here is called Megiddo, okay? Megiddo, a lot of people don't visit Megiddo, but it's an important biblical site. You can see a lot of the ruins down below. You can see that circular ruin. That's actually an altar over there that was used when the northern tribes had sunk into idol worship. That was actually used by Israelites in the north and Canaanites as well before them to offer sacrifices to false gods. But Megiddo is important because it sits between two major highways, between the Via Maris, the Way of the Sea, and the King's Highway, which runs along the Jordan Valley. And if you control that junction, you control everybody who's trading goods from north to south. So it's very, very important. In fact, the idea of Armageddon, the last great battle between good and evil, Christian literature, the word Armageddon comes from the Hebrew word Megiddo, became Armageddon. And this is where and so all Christian groups will come visit Megiddo. Here we just have part of the Jezreel Valley. And the Jezreel Valley, which connects Megiddo to Beit Shean and to the King's Highway. It's a beautiful, beautiful valley. There's a lot of lush land over there with a lot of agriculture that's being done. There's some beautiful, beautiful hiking trails. In fact, what we're looking at right there is a national park, that valley, and the cliff to the right-hand side is called the Arbel Cliff. It is groups will come here to hike. Here's a plateau that leads to it, really beautiful. And it looks just like this now because it's been raining. But there's the cliff over there to the right-hand side. And pretty soon we're going to zoom in there and we're going to see not just the cliff, but we're also going to see caves, because this is where King Herod laid his claim to fame, okay? Here you can see some people hiking right here. They're hiking up to the cliff and to the caves that you can see in front of you. And this is where King Herod gets his claim to fame before he becomes king, right? Why does Rome choose him in the first place? He comes from a wealthy family, but he is seen as being a great military tactician, a planner, because at this time, before Rome was like completely in control, when there was still a king here in Israel, there were rebels, right? These rebels hid in those caves that you can see right there, and you can hike to those caves. They would hide in those caves, and they would attack. You can see the agriculture to the left. They would attack the Roman soldiers and the Jewish soldiers, who were there as well, who agreed with Rome's influence, right? So the rebels didn't agree with Rome's influence, and they would hide in those caves, and they would try and climb up, right? The Roman soldiers would try and climb up and attack, and that's obviously an uphill battle, right? You can see some Mamlukian architecture over here where they use these caves for other reasons as well. You can see our tourist here who hiked up to that cave, and here you get a great view. Guys, look at that view. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't the land of Israel gorgeous? This gentleman that you can see standing right there is looking down at the valley. Now imagine if he's a rebel soldier and the Romans are charging up the hill. The Romans have an uphill battle. It's almost impossible. So what King Herod does is he devises a system where he drops down cranes of soldiers from the top of the cliff, and then when they get to the opening, they'll shoot arrows that are on fire, right, covered in oil that are on fire, into the cave and literally smoke everybody out. And everybody, as they run out, immediately the Romans are able to kill them. And so they see Herod as being this just unbelievable military expert. But look at that. Look at those beautiful, beautiful scenes right there of Israel. You can see some people hiking along there. It's great hiking in the north. But what I want you to take a look at for a second is how rocky it is. Look how rocky. You got to remember, those modern Zionists who came in the late 18th century, there were no paved roads. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no running water even. And the land which was not given to us, but sold to us, the land which was sold to us for a crazy amount of money was this rocky land and swampland, land that was almost impossible to settle. But it was that determination, that hard work by those modern Zionists who refused to give up, who said, hey, look at the scriptures. The scriptures say that this is going to happen, right? We're going to have the ingathering of the exiles, that we're going to return to the land, that we're once again going to make our land beautiful. And of course, here we are still striving really for that. But gosh, have we made so many improvements. Israel's such a beautiful place. And here we are now in the Golan Heights. How green it is. Very green right now, but also green in certain areas year round because there's beautiful waterfalls and nature all over Israel. You can see the ruins over here. They're built up on a slope. And this is an ancient city known as Gamla, okay? Gamla, probably coming from the word Gamal, is called that because you can kind of see the shape of this mountain kind of looks like a camel, which is a Gamal in Hebrew. And slopes over here. But where is it built, right? Where is it built? On top of the mountain. Because this is where it's easy to defend your cities in ancient times. Still today, the higher up you are, the more powerful you are, right? That's why Israel's got such a great army. We've got such a great air force, right? We control the skies. The higher up you are, the easier it is to defend your city. Of course, Gamla will not be able to defend itself from Rome. Rome is just too powerful. At first they are. At first Gamla is victorious because it was too difficult for Rome to climb up the steep slope or to come from the other direction down into Gamla. It was too difficult for them, and Gamla was victorious, but eventually Rome brought so many soldiers, so many weapons that it fell. But now we still have the ruins. We can visit, and we have that beautiful view. Look at the top of the screen. You kind of see it in the haze. You can see the Sea of Galilee, the Kinneret, as it's known here in Israel. Just beautiful shots here. Thank you to Vine Studios for providing this. Just awesome footage of our beautiful land. And I'll just end right here. You can see this is a old synagogue, right? A big Knesset that was being used here in Gamla. That you can see there's a group there right now. Lots of youth groups, lots of birthright groups, various groups will come here, and even families to do bar mitzvahs here. Just how awesome is that to be able to do your bar mitzvah, or to even just come and daven, to pray, to have a minyan, to have services, to learn a Mishnah or some type of Jewish scripture in this ancient synagogue, which was used by your great-great-grandparents so long ago. Look how beautiful this waterfall is right here. This is one of the waterfalls that you can find in the Golan Heights, but they have a tremendous amount. You can go swimming in the waterfalls and hiking there. And here's a Jeep tour that you can take through the Golan Heights. And these guys here are parked in this beautiful vista overlooking the Hula Valley, which is its own geological and topographical and wildlife. It's its own area of Israel. You know, Israel's so small, the size of New Jersey, but yet it has so many different regions, so many different deserts and coastal plains and foothills and mountains and valleys and the Dead Sea. And it's just absolutely incredible. You have wineries up here in the Golan Heights. You have a chocolate factory. Look at this happy family here. You have a chocolate factory. You come to the Golan Heights and you can make chocolate. You visit the wineries, go on a tour of a kibbutz, or you can see these guys. You can even go skiing. How many of you knew that you can go skiing in the Golan Heights in the wintertime? There's actually snow on the top of Mount Hermon, which is almost 10,000 feet high. You can go skiing on the top of Mount Hermon. And here's the, by the way, at one time was our largest, it still is our largest source of fresh water, but it was one of our major sources of water, right? It's still the largest source of fresh water, but we don't rely on it as much because today Israel uses a lot of desalinated water. And green technology is a very big thing in the world today, and Israel's at the forefront of it, right? They use desalinated water from the Mediterranean, or they use water that's been recycled, right? What do I mean by recycled? You know, all the water in Tel Aviv, in the area that we call Gush Dan, almost 2 million people, all of that water that people, you know, from the toilets and from the sinks and from the showers, washing machines, all that water is recycled. Not one drop of sewage is dumped into the Mediterranean by the residents of Tel Aviv or the areas around Tel Aviv, nearly 2 million people. It's completely recycled organically, and then it's put into the ground to filter even further, and it goes back down into the aquifer, the coastal aquifer, and then it's pumped up and it irrigates the Negev Desert. The Negev Desert, which is now 70% of Israel's agriculture, is grown in our desert areas, and that is a lot to do with our water conservation, solar power. I have a whole episode of Land of the Bible, my TV show, that you can access by going to my Patreon site, patreon.com/David Sussman, or just go to my Facebook page, David Sussman Israel Tours, and follow me, and I'm going to put it out there after this tour that we're doing here, okay? So you guys can get that all for free, and you guys will have lots and lots of content. Just cruising over here over the Sea of Galilee, right? The Kinneret, the Kinnor, it's called a Kinnor because it's like a harp, right? David's harp. Here's another beautiful national park, Banyas, or otherwise known as Caesarea Philippi, which was one of the sons of Herod who built this area up for the Caesars of Rome. Stunning, gorgeous springs and rivers and just awesome, awesome nature here in Israel. And this is also one of River, right? The Banyas, other rivers, they flow into the Jordan River. And then just like that, guys, boom, snap your fingers, boom, you are in the desert. You're in the Negev. And we're just flying over this place called Kfar Nokdim. And Kfar Nokdim is a tourist site, but it's also a Bedouin camp, right? You can see Bedouin camps all around. And the Bedouin who live here, and you can come here and spend the night here and have like a traditional Bedouin meal, sure, and meet one of the Bedouin right here. You can see a Bedouin with his camel and enjoy the beautiful Bedouin food, right? Sitting on the ground and going a camel ride in the middle of the desert. I mean, it's just beautiful out here. And of course, you could sleep underneath the beautiful desert sky and see all the stars without the light pollution. It's really a great place to visit. But also to learn a little bit about the minorities who live here in Israel. And one of them is the Bedouin people who live in the Negev desert. And now we're just kind of cruising through the desert right here. A lot of people think that the entire desert of Israel is the Negev desert, but it's not entirely the Negev. In fact, there's 4 deserts here in Israel. You have the Negev, which is the largest. You have the Arava Desert, which goes from the Dead Sea all the way down to Eilat on the Jordan border. You also have the Judean desert, right? The Judean desert just outside of Jerusalem, which Masada is on the very edge of, right? It's at the edge of the Judean desert and the Negev. But a lot of people don't realize this, is that also you have a little bit of the Sinai desert that kind of creeps into Eilat and into the south. And here you got the beautiful Dead Sea. You know, I look at that and I see the water and I'm like, wow, that looks refreshing. Like, I just want to jump right into it. But that's like the last thing that you want to do, because the Dead Sea is one of the saltiest bodies of water in the entire world. No, it's probably the saltiest. It is the saltiest. I will say it is the saltiest body of water. It's about 32% salt mineral content. You have feet actually at the bottom of the Dead Sea that can't even dissolve into the water because the water is that hypersalinated already. And people come here and they float in the water because you can't sink. They just float in the water. They cover themselves with the mud, which is so therapeutic. In fact, if you guys have any pictures of you from your previous trips with the mud, you know, post them in the comments because they crack me up. They're great. Just everybody having a good time and lathering on that mud, which is really healthy for you. Now, the Dead Sea is 1,500 feet, roughly 1,500 feet below sea level. Jerusalem, by the way, is almost 3,000 feet above sea level. So that is about 4,500 feet. And I know we got some people out here from Denver, you know, and Colorado and Denver, you know, the mile high city. You know, when you go to the Dead Sea from Jerusalem on your trips to Israel, you're descending almost 4,500 feet. That's almost a mile. That's really something incredible. Where are we now? Oh, you know, the producers of this film, they did something, you know, they take some interesting turns here. Here we are up north. They call it Uplift, but it's really, this is known here in Israel and amongst Jews as, by a team as Beit Shean. This is Beit Shean. And you guys are all nodding your head right now because you're like, oh yeah, Beit Shean. It's where Shaul HaMelech, the first king of Israel, was killed by the Philistines, and then his body was strung up on the walls of Beit Shean. Well, what we're looking at here, you can see the colonnaded corridor, the alleyway over here, that this street was not always, was not here during King Shaul's time, Shaul HaMelech, right? That was on top of that hill in front of us, okay? It was on top of the hill in front of us. And that is a tell. And what exactly is a tell? But a tell is an ancient mound from societies going on top of one another. Now, if you guys can see me, I want you guys to see me. I'm almost afraid to take myself out of shared screen because I'm afraid I won't be able to get to it. But I'm sure in the corner you probably can see. You can see me because what I want to show you right now is what a tell is. A tell is layer upon layer upon layer of civilization, and I'm going to use hats. Okay, so here is my work cat. You can see my name on it right there. And you need a good, strong foundation, right? So this is like the first early people settling in Beit Shean. But due to an earthquake, maybe natural disaster, maybe to war, their place was destroyed, and another community for the exact same reason settled there, right? Here's Boston Red Sox, right? I'm a big Red Sox fan from Boston. And then that gets destroyed. Another society, but I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. My dad lived in Buffalo, lived in Buffalo for a little while. Comes in and settles there. That's destroyed. And then you have another, maybe the best band ever, right there. And then the best for last, you have Israel right on the top of what archaeologists do when they come and they excavate is they peel away those layers to get to the older periods of time. But when the Romans are here, they no longer need to be at the top of the hill to protect themselves. So they move down and they build what we're seeing here right now. The colonnaded alleyways, the beautiful theater. They had bathhouses, fountains over here. It was a beautiful, beautiful Roman city. It was absolutely gorgeous, and it's a great place to visit. Check out this, more springs. The whole area in the north, there's lots of springs, lots of places to just hide out from the sun, to relax, to cool off. These are known as Gideon Springs from the Judge of Israel. You read about Gideon Springs. You know, it's another amazing thing. It's like you visit Israel, and it's like the Tanakh comes to life. Like you literally open up the Tanakh and you read the story, boom, there you are. This is called David's waterfall in Gedi. Of course, the story of David before he becomes King David and Shaul HaMelech, King Saul, and the battles between them, and well, they never really battled, but the cat and mouse chase that took place between them. One of them happening here, famous one happened in Gedi. But of course, what are we all looking for? We want to come to Jerusalem. Look at that beautiful scene. Beautiful Jerusalem right there. And, you know, we were here yesterday in the old city with Svi Satz. What's up, Svi? I see that you're here. And enjoying a great tour of the Jewish quarter. This is Hezekiah's tunnel. So I'm not going to talk too much about Jerusalem, but here's Hezekiah's tunnel. This was a tunnel that was built 2,700 King Hezekiah to divert water from the only water source of Jerusalem, the Gihon Spring, right? The Gihon Spring, which was outside the city walls or protected by some walls. So it was really outside the main part of the city. And 2,700 years ago, they dug out a tunnel to divert the water to bring it in, protect the city where it would be protected, it would be safe. And today we get to walk through that tunnel. A lot of kids, this is like their highlight when they come to visit Israel. Walk through it still to this day. But of course, everybody who comes to Jerusalem has to come to the Western Wall. They have to come to the Kotel, right? And the Kotel, you know, you do the Western Wall tunnel tours. It's incredible to learn how it was constructed, to learn about, you know, all of its secrets. A lot of people think when they see the Western Wall that was like the entire western side of the Temple Mount complex. It's a very small part. The entire Western Wall actually stretched for roughly about 1,500 feet. It was roughly about 1,500 feet long. You're only looking at about 150, 180 feet when you go to the Western Wall, right? But we learned about it yesterday. But one thing I just want to add about that Western Wall is like the science behind the holiness. Look at all those people putting their hands against those stones. What are they doing? They are not just praying and opening up their hearts, but they are releasing so much energy into those stones. And that's what we've been doing. We've been releasing our energy into those stones for 2,000 years with our thoughts and with our prayers. And so when you come here and you put your hands on those stones, what an awesome experience it is to be able to feel the energy of your grandparents reverberating back at you. What an awesome experience it is to leave your energy in those stones right there. Here, this picture just kills me. And it really kills me to know this picture because it's not the place that people all come to pray. It's part of a tourist attraction called the Davidson Archaeological Center, or the Southern Wall excavations, right? Right here on the right-hand side, you can kind of see that's the corner between the Western Wall and the Southern Wall of the Temple Mount, kind of cool. But look down below. You can see some stones that are piled up, and those stones belong to stores that line the Western Wall. And that's a road you can see destroyed down below as well. That's a road that existed 2,000 years ago during the Second Temple period that people would walk along and buy their souvenirs to bring back to the Galilee or to bring back wherever it was that they lived, or to buy a sacrifice, to give an offering, a korban up on the Temple Mount. This was a hustling and bustling place. And when I see those stones, you see how they're all blackened? They're blackened from the fires from when Rome destroyed Jerusalem. And I got to ask all of you out there, we still got about 700 people who are here with us, and who knows who's on the Facebook Live and other places. Now, I have to ask you, because I asked all my groups, how many people here have been to Rome, right? And, you know, almost like at least half the group will raise their hand. And then I say, how many of you have been to Rome? This is your first time in Israel. And like half of the people who raise their hands for Rome, it's also their first time in Israel. And I have to ask the question, why would you go to Rome before you would go to Israel? Never mind the fact that we're Jews. Why would anybody want to go to Rome before visiting Israel, before coming to Jerusalem? You know, our holy temple, which was destroyed in the year 70 CE by the Romans, had many different names. One of them was Beit HaShalom, a house of peace, right? That the temple was a house of peace to bring people together, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, to realize that all of humanity is one. We would bring all the nations of the world to celebrate Sukkot with us. Anybody wanted to come, come. We're even paying for your offerings. Just come and be one. All of humanity, be one. All of us should be one together. A house was also called a house of prayer for all nations, a house of prayer for all nations. So how could we go to a place that destroyed that, and what did they build in return? What did the Romans do with the spoils of war? They built the Colosseum. They built the Colosseum, which was what? It was a house of death, a house of death. And so we go to Rome to see the Colosseum, a house of death, before we go to Jerusalem to see where the temple stood, a house of peace, a place of prayer for whom? Not just the Jewish people, but for all nations. Check out those three arches in front of you. A lot of people believe that those are the original arches, at least the base of them, the foundations of those arches, to the Hula gates, the three gates that went in. These stairs here are modern, but there are original stairs amongst the modern ones, right? They tried to incorporate as much of the ancient with the new, and the new's there so that we can actually access and climb up and be safe. But there's the old ones there as well, to actually walk on the stones, the very stones that your great-grandparents, folks, if you're Jewish out there like me, you should know without a doubt, 100%, that your great, however many greats ago, your great-great-grandparents walked on those stones and went up to those gates and entered the Temple Mount. And today you can celebrate your bar mitzvah. You just come here, you can pray here. I mean, how awesome is that? to be able to bring your children and to enrich them in their heritage, to bring them to Jerusalem, to bring them to Israel, and to celebrate their coming of age, of entering into this period of their Jewish life. No better place than Jerusalem, no better place than right here on the stones that their great, great, great grandparents actually stood on. That's awesome. And here we are in the Mount of Olives, just kind of overlooking a little bit here, the entire old city. And I want to just say again, thank you really to Just One Chesed and to everybody who stayed on. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties that we had in the beginning, but I do hope that you enjoyed your tour. And we really only just skimmed the surface, right? We could have paused more. We could have included much more scenery. There's so much great videos on YouTube. And we could have explored more of Israel. But we only have 45 minutes with each other. But if anybody wants to have a longer tour, if anybody wants to connect with me to learn more about Israel, again, my Patreon site, it's free. It's free of charge. If you can help out and you want to make a donation to it, great, but it's free of charge. I'm posting videos there constantly, my old episodes of Land of the Bible, videos that I'm making, or on my Facebook page. I hope that you'll join me there, and I hope to see all of you very, very soon here in the land of Israel. Thank you very, very much for
Thank you so much, David. You're incredible. Wow. Thank you so much. Again, thank you to the area of Jerusalem for bringing this event with Just One Chesed. What is Just One Chesed? Just One Chesed is a nonprofit organization connecting organizations and volunteers. We ask everyone to download the Just One Chesed app, Android, iPhone, become a volunteer. Email us if you want to be a coordinator in your community. info@justonechesed.org, info@justonechesed.org, Just One Chesed, Chesed with one S, CHESED. Help us bring more events. JustOneChesed.org/donation. Empower us. Give us more that we can help you more. We're doing Project Uplift, Project Check-In. A lot is going on. A lot of good. Becoming a volunteer with Just One Chesed is becoming a volunteer with over 200 organizations and counting every single day. We're trying to build this app for Klal Yisrael. It's Klal Yisrael's app. Help us. Be part of it so we can help a lot more people. Make it to Uber for Chesed. If you have an organization, you have a school, you have whatever, we want to sign up to the app, we can talk. Email us, info@justonechesed.org. Sign up at the app, on the App Store, whether you're an organization, whether you're a volunteer. Sign up today. Make a donation to Just One Chesed at justonechesed.org/donation. Again, I'd like to thank Yishai Fleischer, who did a great tour of Hebron, and David Sussman, who did a great tour and overview of Eretz Yisrael, overview of Israel. You can check out them at, I think Yishai Fleischer was the Israel Fund, the One Hebron Fund, and David Sussman at David Sussman Israel's Tours. Check him up on Facebook. Check him up on his website. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Download the Just One Chesed app today in your app store, Android, iPhone. Help us become a coordinator with Just One Chesed. Email us at info@justonechesed.org. Wherever you are, our app is all based on location. Israel, America, Toronto, Canada, wherever you are, England. We can make Just One Chesed come to your community. Thank you so much, everyone. It was incredible. And check your emails for future events. We are continuing to bring you more events, please God.